What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com, live on Facebook, late, Wednesday afternoon. I am in the offices of Facebook New York, actually. So coming to you live on Facebook from Facebook. And just got the injury report. Comparative to the Saints injury report, it's a bit of comedy because the Packers have 1 million people on there and the Saints have 2. So obviously a lot to get to. I have my laptop up here to give you the exact names and numbers, so to speak. To answer that question real quick, Romo talk, real or fake? That's very fake. That's a lot of Facebook. Yeah, Ryan, you have no idea. Is Pipkins in the protocol? It wasn't announced, but he is listed as having a concussion and being a limited participant. So one would think, yes, he is in the concussion protocol. Lauren, hello, how are you? Owen, hi, thanks for joining us. Erica, hello. UWGB, thanks for checking in. I don't remember hearing about him being taken out for a concussion. Matt, yeah, most likely you didn't hear about it because we didn't know about it. They probably discovered it afterwards. That does happen every once in a while. When will they look at the strength and conditioning coach for all these injuries? Well, they do every offseason. That's the thing. That's what's so funny is that teams are always constantly reevaluating how they use strength and conditioning, what kind of program they use in the offseason, what kind of work they do. You don't have to go very far. Just look back to last week, and the Vikings were as injured as the Packers, if not more so. It just so happens they're facing a team this week that has gotten a lot of luck on the injury side of things. But Juan, what do you think of Gerard Evans? If you're talking about the quarterback that they picked up for the practice squad, I don't know a whole lot about him. I did look at some of his cut-ups yesterday. He looks very, very talented. The couple of scouts that I talked to all unanimously said that they thought he should have stayed in school. But who knows? You never know what you got. It sure looks like he's got talent. And I highly doubt he'll ever see the field this year. And if he does, the Packers are in even more trouble than they're in right now. How does Hundley look on the practice field? Robbie, we're not allowed to watch Hundley on the practice field. We basically see them go through drill work, and that's about it. Do you think we will still win the division? I think they have a chance. I think Hundley is absolutely capable of leading them to a division title, provided they get just a little break on the health side, and a better use of the word break than breaking bones. It's going to take them having at least some bit of fortune on the health front. If they continue down this path and no one ever gets healthy, then it's going to be awfully tough. You buying into Bob McGinn saying Hundley can win us games? Well, right, I think his direct quote was, I believe they can win a lot of games with Hundley at quarterback. Hundley's not going to win those games. They're going to have to win them as a team. But can they win with Hundley at quarterback? Absolutely. I'm buying what Bob's selling there, no question. But like I said, it's going to be a team effort, and they're going to have to get a little healthy. Any word on Rodgers' soon-to-be surgery? Nothing yet, Andrea. McCarthy was asked about it in his press conference, and he didn't have any details. But other than he has not had it yet. But that's about all we know. Is this season going to be an indication of how good a coaching staff we have? I think so. I think last time that this happened in 2013, they were in a very different spot as far as who they had as a backup quarterback. Remember, they brought in Tolzien right at the end. They brought in Seneca Wallace well after training camp. And then they started Wallace and they started Tolzien, guys who had barely been in the system for not even a month. Whereas this is Brett Hundley, who's been in the system for 3 years. If he is unable to make the offense work, that is an indictment on Mike McCarthy, is an indictment on Alex Van Pelt, and is an indictment on Ted Thompson. They are the ultimate draft and develop program. They have specifically developed Brett Hundley for this very scenario. And obviously, a large part of it will be how and what they have in front of them and along the offensive line. McCarthy even said today, a lot of what they plan to do on the offensive side of the ball is going to be determined by what they project their health to be on the offensive side of the ball, along the offensive line. So, there will be caveats and there will be things to look at when you're breaking it down, but ultimately, this is it. This is what you brought this guy. It's why you drafted him. It's why you've developed him, and it's why you haven't gone out and signed a Colin Kaepernick or a Tony Romo, because you are a draft and develop program and you believe in that and you adhere to that. And that is why they are going to start Brett Hundley. That's why they've brought up Joe Callahan to back him up. So yes, that is your mantra. That is what you go by. That is what you put out there in the world, and that is what you want to get upset at reporters for asking questions about, as Mike did on Monday. Well then, yeah, you've got to back that up. So here we go. It all starts Sunday when Brett Hundley takes the field. Any idea how Hundley did practicing with the first squad? No idea, Eddie. No, we don't get to see any of that. That Bart Starr quote, though, yeah, Jared, I really did like it. It kind of reminded me of being a kid and watching Bart's teams when he was a coach. Fire the strength and conditioning coach. Donnie, what would that do? What exactly would that do? All these people who want to fire the strength and conditioning coach. You know what they would do? They would bring in a different strength and conditioning coach, which would have, and that guy would make them do a lot of the same stuff, and then they would still get injured or not injured, depending on their physical makeup. You know, I get you want to blame somebody. Blame football. Don't blame the strength and conditioning coach. I have the greatest job ever. Bryson, if you had seen me at 6 a.m. this morning, you would probably not be saying that, but right now, yes, the gig is pretty good. We won last time. Now you're being real, Aaron. Exactly. If Hundley fails, this is on the management and consequences should follow. I like how you say that like I'm not always real. I'm always real. Any news on King? Yes, Nelson. He is out of the concussion protocol and was practicing today. You can expect him to be out there against the Saints along with Devon House. Both of them were on the practice field today. However, Morgan Burnett remains sidelined. How does the QB situation affect Adams' contract status? It may change how he wants to approach things. If he, thinks, well, that was as good as it's ever going to get, and maybe I should strike now. Maybe his people reach out to the Packers this week. I doubt that happens, though. I tend to still think he's going to ride this season out. Now, maybe the Packers feel, hey, look, you're stepping down in the quarterback side of things. Maybe you want to get a deal done now, get some money in hand. I tend to think Davante Adams is going to play the season out, but you never know. This could spur talks one side or the other. What is the update on our running back situation? The update is Ty Montgomery was a full participant today, and Aaron Jones and he will most likely continue to split the carries, although McCarthy was a little cagey when asked about it today. So I think the possibility is there for Aaron Jones to maybe take the job if he's productive on Sunday against the Saints. Injury Football League, that's what it seems like this year. Eric, there's been a lot of big names injured with J.J. Watt. Obviously Aaron Rodgers, Odell Beckham Jr. all going down. Injuries are a part of the game. They do seem a little more prevalent this year, but, people are injured every year. It's the National Football League. What's the deal with Raji? Thank you, Zach. I love it. What do you think is acceptable outcome win-wise with our situation? It's really hard for me to say until I see Brett Hundley as a starter. It's one thing for him to come in the middle of that, or the beginning of that game in Minnesota in a horrible situation. It's quite another to see him take the reins after a full week of prep. So ask me again after the Saints game, and I'll have a better idea. You think we go 2 tight end set? David, I don't think there'll be a monster change in that regard. I do think they maybe use it a little bit more. They've been hovering around 25% usage with the 2 tight ends. Maybe that bumps up to 35 or so, 30, 35. But I don't think that's ever going to become like the staple part of their offense. I think you'll see more 2-back. I think you will see more 2 tight end. But I also don't think McCarthy's going to shy away from spreading things out. So he did say today he most certainly will not be giving Brett Hundley the same responsibilities at the line of scrimmage as he would give Aaron Rodgers. So I think you'll see fewer checks at the line. But I do think you'll still see a lot of formation versatility and personnel kind of in and out of the game. Will Hundley play more in the shotgun or under center? That's a good question, Jeff. I tend to think probably a little bit more under center. But not a huge degree. But I do think they'll try and get a bit more of a running game going out of maybe the eye or offset eye. But that's just a hunch. It's just a guess. Just to set up like bootlegs and things. Any thoughts on Montgomery's lack of decisiveness? You know what? It's funny. I went back and watched the game, and I got to say, he was much better in the first half than I remembered him being, and he was worse in the second half than I remembered him being. I thought in the second half he ran really tentatively, and I don't know what that's about. But I do think in the first half he ran a lot better than I thought he had at first blush. But I think Aaron Jones is just more decisive back. I think he's got better vision. He's a better overall runner. And I don't think the drop-off is there. It's negligible, if it exists at all, when it comes to pass protection. So I'm not sure why you're trotting out Montgomery, although Jones did get more carries in that game. I tend to think you got to make Jones your guy and use Montgomery as a change of pace / third down back at this point. Any chance of seeing some read option in the offense this week? I think so. I think a little bit. I don't think there'll be a ton of it. And guys, I'm sorry. I know the phone's probably like moving up and down here. I'm sorry. I am at my wife's office and I'm just holding my phone, so I'm without my tripod today. But yes, I think there'll be a little bit more read option. Just use of Brett's athleticism, I think, makes a lot of sense if you're McCarthy. Jones needs to start. Billy, I agree. Excited to see Hundley playing with Aaron Jones. Yeah, I would think that could be a good combination. This is a huge game. If we can pick up the W going into the bye, I agree. I think it's, without question, their most important game of the year. Now, you can say that in and week out, usually in the NFL, but I think this one definitely has a little bit more importance. Will Rodgers be on the mic with Hundley? I am very interested to see if that happens and how much he's around. He wasn't at practice today. Of course, he hasn't had his surgery yet. I do recall back in 2013, he was on the sideline. He was on mic. He was on the headset. And back in 2010, when he was out, had to miss a game due to the concussion, when they went to New England, he was on the mic then. So, or he was on a headset. Doesn't have a mic. But I will be interested to see if he's there on Sunday afternoon. 5-2 can happen, Billy. I absolutely agree. It is a possibility. Can Hundley run? Big arm? What's the lowdown? He's got an arm. I wouldn't say to call it a big arm, but he has an arm that can make all the throws. And most importantly, he can make all the throws outside the hash marks, which some guys can't. And he most certainly can. He's got a really good cadence. He does a very good job. Obviously, he's been watching Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. He does a very good job using his cadence, getting guys to jump off sides, much like Rodgers does. We saw it all throughout camp, and we saw it in the preseason. That guy, he's clearly been studying that part of the game. He does a very good job of keeping his eyes downfield and not looking at the rush. Unfortunately, that does tend to bite him sometimes. It happened a lot in college. It's happened in the NFL. He takes some sacks where if he just had a better presence, if he could just feel the rush a little bit better, he'd probably be able to get out of it because he can run and he has athleticism to do so. But for whatever reason, he tries to stick in the pocket, which is what you want quarterbacks to do. You want them to play from the pocket. You want them to make plays downfield from the pocket. Just seems like sometimes his desire is to do that is so strong that he's kind of cutting himself off from being able to escape and get outside. Now, funny part is once he gets outside, he's pretty useless as far as making plays downfield. If you go back and you watch all of his throws when he breaks the pocket, he almost never completes a pass. He almost always either has to throw it away or runs for as much yardage as he can gain, which is fine. But it's funny how he's rocking behind a guy in Aaron Rodgers who makes the most amazing plays outside the pocket, and this guy can't make a play to save his life. Now he did almost have one in Minnesota where he fired that bullet up the right sideline to Jordy Nelson and Jordy dropped it. But outside of that, he rarely comes close. Let's see. Will we make the playoffs? Ask me again in 2 weeks. We need to get healthy bodies to compete with anyone long season. I tend to agree with that. That's what I was talking about before. 3 weeks for Vince. Yes, Vince Beagle practiced for the first time today, which means they have 21 days to decide to place him on the 53-man roster. And once they do that, they have to make a spot for him. So they'll have to release somebody and or put someone on injured reserve. Obviously, a certain quarterback who has surgery coming up is a prime candidate for that to happen. What position do you think Green Bay should go for in the upcoming draft? Oh, wow, that's a long way away. But my first kind of thought is they should do exactly what they should have done this last draft and try and pull out all the stops to get an edge rusher. But that's just me. What's the news on King? Phil, he practiced today. He's out of the concussion protocol. So good news on King. He doesn't look upfield when he scrambles. Kevin, he does sometimes. He does, I would say it's about 50-50 where he keeps his eyes downfield. He's actually gotten better at it than he was 2 years ago. He's better. He was better this summer at that. But still, even when he keeps his eyes downfield, he doesn't often make a throw or a completed pass. Can Beagle play immediately? Yes, he can. He'll, provided he's doesn't have any setbacks this week. I anticipate he'll probably play on Sunday. Can our defense win us games? Whew, if they get healthy, sure. But that's a big if. If they put Rodgers on IR, he's probably not coming back. Yeah, I mean, let's be real here. The chances of Rodgers making a return this season are infinitesimal. Let's not sugarcoat it, okay? Maybe if they make a deep run to the playoffs, but even then. But if he's placed on IR, they can bring him off of injury reserve after 8 weeks if they so choose. I just tend to think they're not going to choose. I tend to think if it wasn't his throwing shoulder, if it was back in 2013 when it was his left shoulder, I would think there would be a much better chance. But because it's his throwing shoulder, he's going to need to build up his strength even when it is quote unquote healed. It's just a long process, and I just don't think I don't see him returning. Hi, Mike. Pat, 10-6. Mike McCarthy, Coach of the Year. Matt, if they go 10-6, McCarthy will be in some serious consideration for Coach of the Year, no doubt about it. Your broadcast gets interrupted a lot. Oh, does it? I'm sorry. I didn't get any notice. Usually I'll get a notice if my broadcast is interrupted. It may be your Wi-Fi or what you're watching it on. What's up with Montravius Adams? Yeah, I don't know. Other than the fact that he's been a healthy scratch the last 2 weeks. I'm with Pete Doherty, my colleague who opined last week that, for a team that is sorely lacking as far as when it comes to rushing the passer, you would think some interior pass rush would help. And that was kind of the book on this kid coming out of Auburn. So maybe they activate him finally this week. I don't know. But he seems healthy, and he just hasn't gone the last 2 weeks. Was the hit on Rodgers a dirty hit? Absolutely not, Nick. I know McCarthy called it unnecessary, and I would tend to agree with that assessment. However, I also think it's football. And I think, he's running and he's making a hit on the quarterback after he's let it go. Yes, he probably could have pulled up, but he didn't, and he drove him into the ground. And if that's Clay Matthews on their quarterback or on any quarterback, Packers fans are going, yeah, man, that's football. But because it's on your quarterback, Packers fans are, oh, that might have been a dirty hit. It wasn't a dirty hit at all. Unnecessary? Probably. But that's football. Safe to say Aaron Rodgers hits IR, he's done? Not necessarily. This season feels like a glimpse of the future. It could be. It depends on what happens on Sunday and going forward. That's what's so cool about this week, is that we literally have no idea what they're going to do on offense. They could be buttoned up, try and run the ball, bootleg, take deep shots downfield. They could spread it out, try and dink and dunk, try and use screen passes to slow down a heavy blitzing team in New Orleans. They could, do a ton of two tight end stuff, and we just don't know. I'm really kind of looking forward to it, actually. And I know that probably isn't any kind of solace, but I'm seriously looking forward to seeing how McCarthy kind of tailors his offense around Brett Hundley. What do you think the offense will look like with Hundley? Paul, is what I was just talking about. I don't know. I have no idea. I actually started to do a post this morning about what they might do with Hundley, and they're like, I just kept going and then finding so many different possibilities. It was like, wait, this post could be like 10 pages long, 10 whatever. You know what I mean. But yeah, I don't know. I'm fascinated. Did I get a haircut? Yes, I got a haircut. Is Rodgers coming back? Doubtful. Get Cobb involved. Billy, I couldn't agree more. It took forever for him to get even a reception on Sunday. And McCarthy even admitted today that he got out of sorts as a play caller. The Aaron Rodgers injury really threw him. I would tend to agree with that assessment. I do think Randall Cobb could be Brett Hundley's best friend. I will bet McCarthy will not be calling TJ Rubley. You got that right. Why is McCarthy so evasive about injuries? Peter, I wish I knew. I mean, they all are, really. McCarthy takes it to a whole new level, but yeah, NFL coaches are crazy like that. They all guard everything like state secrets. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what possible benefit he gets from it. It's like the Jordy Nelson thing after Dallas is a perfect example. It's a back injury. We're all going to see it listed as a back injury on Wednesday afternoon. So why you can't tell us that on Sunday night, I have zero idea. That 2 extra days is really going to give you a competitive advantage? How? I don't know. They should play some Cobb at quarterback. Elliott, maybe they will. Who knows? Maybe they'll play Jordy Nelson at quarterback. He is supposedly their emergency QB. We were one big hit away from seeing him under center Sunday in Minnesota. Cobb out of the Wildcats. Possibility. Let's get the old gunslinger back. Brett Favre has been asked, and he has said absolutely not. Too many injured moving pieces to guess how well Hundley can play on Sunday. I tend to agree with that assessment. You know, if they have even close to a fully healthy offensive line, and they allow him to kind of work, then maybe, yeah, he's got a shot. But if they're running McCray at left tackle, then forget it, you know? It's just, you know, common sense. Although, I think, judging from the injury report, it looks like Lane Taylor was the only guy who didn't go along the offensive line today, so that's promising. I think Aaron Jones can be a difference maker this year. I absolutely agree. Clark and Daniels, the best defensive tackle tandem in the league. I wouldn't go that far, but they are very, very good. Am I still signing autographs? No. Raji for QB. There you go, Chad. There's my Raji question. Rodgers returned before season end? I doubt it. Callahan backing up Hundley? Yes. We don't need Old Man River. I agree, Virginia. Is that playoff beard you have going on? No, Matt. It's just laziness going on. Although my wife said she likes it. Although my girls all want me to shave it. So right now it's a war in the house. How about them Yankees? Okay, now I'm out. Someone talked about the Yankees. I am out. Man, screw the Yankees. Watch for some more Mike McCarthy trick plays. Yeah, it's a possibility. Although I always think, you know, when you go down in the trick play bag, you're kind of signaling how desperate you are. Although they did run a flea flicker earlier this year, so who knows? It's possible. Let's get the scream game going and trying to get Monty in space. Andrew, I absolutely agree against the Saints. They are a heavy, this year especially, they have been a big-time blitzing team. So those are the types of teams that you want to invite up with their pressure and then hit them with a big screen. You saw, you know, the Packers tried a couple times against Minnesota, but again, that's not a heavy blitzing team. That's a team that traditionally likes to rush 4. And you saw how unsuccessful it was. So, yeah, I think the Saints, especially in Lambeau, they are a prime candidate to be gotten a couple times with the screen passes. I'm oddly excited for this game. Michael, me too. I'm telling you, man, this is it. This is like, there's so many unknown factors here as far as how Hundley will play, who will be available injury-wise, what McCarthy's going to do game plan-wise, how they will respond on defense. You know, because I think Drew Brees and company are going to put up like 40 points. So they're going to have to be wide open on offense. We'll see. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's just the unknown, you know. It's kind of fun. Sip. Kaepernick? No. Can you get activated off IR in the playoffs? Yes, Will. You can. What's up with Joe? Will he actually play? If you're talking about Joe Callahan, not unless Brett Hundley gets hurt. So freaking sick of get Cap, call Brett. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Supposed to rain. Yes, Matt, it is. I saw that. And that could change everything. We'll see, especially for the Saints, who are obviously built for a fast track indoors. Where am I watching the game? At Lambeau Field. I think the Packers will still win the division. I'm going to end on that note of optimism because my wife is here and we're going to a dinner. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. They go by so fast, but I will be back tomorrow after the Thursday padded practice. And in the meantime, make sure you're checking out PackersNews.com for all the latest. We'll have everything from practice, all the latest on Aaron Rodgers, all the latest on Brett Hundley and Mike McCarthy. Anything and everything going on with the Packers, we'll have it for you. PackersNews.com. Thanks a lot, everyone.